this 1996 CB750 F2 RC42 Honda, and the motor runs really well, really good. Rode it back from Queensland with not a problem, but I'm just going through. I'm going to tidy it up. The motor's a little bit scrappy looking, but the main chain is getting a bit worn, so I'm just about to replace the main chain. So let's go through that and see how it's done. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is remove the gear shift, which is just an 8mm spanner to unloosen this one. That bolt comes out, and we take our linkage off. That comes off, just leave that hanging there. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the side stand sensor. I'm just going to pull that spring off and then undo the sensor switch just to give me a bit of room. Now you notice just above here is this cap, and it says "Don't open." You know, that immediately brings visions into my mind of some spring shooting out or something. But this is just, I don't know what they use it for really, but it's actually probably an oil filling point for something that may be in there. I don't know. But anyway, you can take this out, no problems. Take that out. That comes out. We take our screws off. We've got, what do we got? 6 screws. These are longer ones, these screws. And the cover should now come off pretty easy. You've got a chain guide, they call it here, which fits on these dowels like so. So clean all this up, and there's our chain ready to come off. I'll just put this cap back on so we don't get any dirt in there. And the next thing is to get this chain off. Okay, we're just going to grind this into every side. Okay, that'll do it. We'll now knock those pins out. So I've got the chain breaker set up. The heads have been ground down, and we're just going to press the pins out now. That's the first one out. Then you go on to the second one. Okay, I'd say that would be out. Here we go. There's our chain off. Pop the back plate off. And there we go. There's our link there. No ring chain. Now we pull the chain out. Okay. I've had a look at the sprocket, and I'm going to give it another go on this chain with a new chain. It's not that bad. So now I'm just cleaning around the sprocket area. Make sure all that's clean. Some Kero. Okay, the drive sprocket area has been cleaned up, and it is a 15 tooth sprocket on the front. So ready for the chain to go in. But let's have a look at what else is in here while we've got this cover off. Down here you've got the neutral switch, and my neutral switch is actually not working. I'm not getting the green light. I've checked the bulb's okay. To test it, you take this wire out, plug it, unplug it, put a multimeter on it to the engine, and you should get a circuit. So I'm not getting a circuit, so the switch is faulty. And the wire that you unplug it from, because there's only one wire, if you put that wire onto the engine casing, you will get a circuit and it will light up the neutral light. So that's a way to test the neutral switch, and they're not cheap. So I've got to try and get one and get that working. So the next thing to do is to get the chain on. I've got a 525 chain to go on there, sealed chain, so we'll get that on next. Okay, the rear sprocket has been cleaned up, ready to go, so I'm just going to loosen these adjusting bolts off. Just loosen them right off, and the same on the other side. Okay, loosen the adjuster on the other side as well, and they come off. Now loosen this main axle bolt as well. I just loosen that off, don't take it right off. I'll just knock the axle back in a bit. I'm just going to knock this axle back in, give me some slack on both sides. Okay, I've got the chain on here, and that's the end. There's the beginning of the chain. So you can see really I'm kind of there, it wants to be there, and this link here is the one I've got to cut, so that part will be like that to take the joiner link. So that one's got to be cut out. That'll give me the right length. So now I'm just breaking the chain where we marked it on the bike. I've taken the chain back out again, and I'm just going to break this link here. And there we have the chain broken. That's ready to go on the bike. Now this chain, this brand new chain, was 124 links, and Honda say their chain should be 112 links with a 40 on the back sprocket and a 15 on the front. And this chain, after we've marked it and cut it, this chain is 112 links long. So I've got the new joining link. I'm just going to put some grease on this, plenty of grease on that shaft, and an O-ring on each side. A bit more grease on there. Okay, joining links in, one O-ring on, and another O-ring. So all 4 O-rings are now on. Put the keeper plate on, and then we get our tool and we press this together. Okay, we've got our joining link on. Now we'll put our riveting tool. First of all, we're going to squeeze the links together so flat plate goes on the back, and the one with the holes goes in the front. Just wind this in and we'll line up our holes. Very careful not to tighten it up too much. Okay, I've just taken the tool off and the rivets, the pins are right through nicely now. Okay, it's now time to rivet the link pins over. So I've got the big anvil going in here, and I've got the riveting head here. I will talk about this later, about the condition of this tool. It was pretty crap. I had to basically fit a lot of the parts. This part here was actually flat. A lot of the video I've seen on about these eBay breaker riveters, this is rounded, and it makes sense to be rounded to flare this over. So I've rounded mine, but it came flat, it was bent, had a step in it. It was pretty ordinary. So let's put the anvil in. This goes on the back here like this, covering that pinhole. And we screw the big nut all the way in till it's flush with the chain. Okay, I've got the big nut snugged up against the chain face on this, over this pin, and now I'm going to tighten up the small one to dimple that over. So that's the second link done. Just loosen this off. And the chain still rotates nicely. That's good. That's okay. Alright, now time to tension her up and line her up. Okay, the chain is now on, and snugged up the axle bolt. Adjusted my chain to give me around about 1 inch of chain slack. You don't want it too tight because you're going to chew bearings out. Align the chain. I've done a cross check by measuring from the center of the swing arm to the center of the axle and lining up with the marks that are on the swing arm. Both check out pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with the alignment. I'm just going to check this sprocket bolt before I put the cover back on. It's tensioned to 40 Newton meters, so I just want to check that. Yeah, that's okay. And the rear axle bolt is tensioned to 90 Newton meters. So we'll just set that up. Check that, and then we can get the cover back on. There she goes there, all nice and tight. Okay, it's last thing to do is put all the cover back on. Got our chain guide, 2 dowel pins here. They go on like that. Take this cap off. Whoops. Slide that back on. Okay, they're all snugged up. Gear shift on. Side stand switch. Little dowel pin on the back side of the pin goes into this hole on the actual side stand arm. and it lines up in that slot. Bolt holding that on. And the spring back on. And that's it. And that's it for getting the chain on. Just a word about these kits. Got it off eBay, pretty cheap. And the old saying goes, what you pay for is what you get. But yeah, had to fit a lot of this stuff, you know. A lot of the holes had dags in them, couldn't fit, had to file the shaft down to get it in. It did the job, but yeah, if you're doing any sort of regular chain braking, you'd want something a bit better than this. Okay, thanks guys.